Hello everyone, singer-songwriter James Hardiment here. I'm based near Cornwall, Ontario, Canada, in a little town called Long Sault. And today, this is the Bridge to the Seaway podcast, episode number, I believe it's number 7 now. Wait, let me think about that. No, it's actually number 6. Sorry, episode 6. I'm certain it's 6. If it's not 6, it's 7, but I'm pretty sure it's 6. Anyways, welcome to the episode regardless. And what this is all about, essentially, is my stories in music as a singer-songwriter. I write a sort of blog during the week. www.jameshardiment.com is the website. And I also have all my original music there, music videos, and the various other video projects that I've worked on. I mean, I created a film back in 2011 called Windigo that got over 1.5 million views, which is how we got a lot of the subscribers back in the day anyways. But now my focus is primarily on the music. As a musician, is sort of my main focus, right? I'm also a filmmaker, actor, singer, songwriter, a bunch of different things, but I love to make music, and that is basically what I'm trying to do at the moment, and do live shows as well. And some live shows are actually going to be coming up shortly. I do have a live show booked July 15th, and there'll be more information about that in the weeks to come. So stay tuned. July 15th. It will be in Cornwall, Ontario, and it will be during the afternoon. And like I said, I'll get into that a little bit more probably in the next episode as we get closer to the date. But July 15th. And if you want more information, if you follow me on Facebook, all the information's there. So like I said, you can find the links on my official musician Facebook page, which is my name, James Hardiment. And if you go to my official website, you can scroll down to the bottom, and like I said, all the links are below, like Facebook, Instagram, and any other social media I'm part of. You can find me there. YouTube as well, especially. But yeah, so basically what I'm going to do is summarize the blog articles of the week that I wrote on my website. Some of them are about traveling around, local businesses in the Seaway Valley area. That's kind of the name of the region which I'm a part of, near the St. Lawrence River. But I also venture to other parts of the community, of the surrounding areas, like parts of Quebec. In this episode, I do visit a little town called Montebello, which is very beautiful in Quebec. And I also go to, different parts of Ottawa, things like that over my travels, right? It's anywhere I end up going, but most of it is going to be here in the Seaway Valley, especially in the Cornwall area, because, again, that's where I kind of live and work. But yes, so we'll get into that. And then at the end of the program, I'm actually going to have a special guest. I always do. After episode 1, I was able to get guests from that point on. So I try to get somebody that I know, be it a fellow artist, musician, painter, whatever, or a community leader, or a business owner that I go to or visit one of their businesses regularly, and I kind of sit down and have a chat with them. And today I'm going to be talking to Jeremy Cybanski, who actually created that piece behind me, the Rescue Me album cover art, which is part of an upcoming album which will be coming out this summer. My new music, because like I said, I haven't had an album released since 2017 when I created the Wine album. If you're familiar, you follow my music. If not, like I said, you can check that out. Wine is on Apple Music, Spotify, all the streaming platforms, SoundCloud as well, I believe. Yes, I think Wine is on SoundCloud. Yeah, it's on most of the platforms. And again, go to the website for more information. Go to the YouTube channel to watch the videos, and please like, subscribe, share, and comment as well in all the things that we create or I create. And I mean, it's a collaborative effort with everybody in the community as well involved. That friends of mine and family, everybody that helps out when they can. So I do appreciate that, and I am very grateful for everyone's time. So let's get into it, shall we? The first article, if I scroll down here, you can actually see in the corner I have the screen on the website, screenshot of the website in sort of a live time here, so we can see it. The first article is called "Spanish Flavors in Prescott." And as you can see, there is a nice signpost for a company called El Rebost del Mil Isle. Yes, so that's a Spanish importer, basically. They do food as well, like a restaurant. I'm going to get into it. Anyways, just off the 401 highway in Prescott, Ontario, Canada, there is a gourmet Spanish food and beverage importer, also a restaurant too. It's tucked away in an industrial estate down a side road. You wouldn't know it was there if you just drove down the main drag towards the waterfront. It's called El Rebost de Mil Isle. I hope I pronounced that right. and it's owned and operated by Marc Gomez Segu, who was born in Spain. He met his wife in Barcelona in 2010, lived there for 4 years. They married in 2012 in that nation as well. His wife is Canadian, and they would move to Canada in December 2013. Marc had a passion for food, but despite the cultural language barrier, he began to import premium Spanish products from his home country. He would then distribute them to restaurants and specialty stores here in Canada. He began the business in 2017. And there's a picture of, if you can see as I'm scrolling, there's actually a picture of the construction. Marc was outside expanding his patio when I snapped some pictures a few weeks ago. When the lockdowns began, all the places that they supplied ended up closing down. So to make up for the loss of revenue, they decided to open their own restaurant and food shop. Initially, it began as a takeout only. Then as restrictions eased up, they opened up the patio, and now they are creating a dining room unit next door. They are located at 991 Industrial Road, Unit D, Prescott, Ontario, K0E1T0. Marc has a business commerce university degree. He always dreamed of owning his own business. His passion for cuisine, coupled with years of restaurant experience as a teenager, came together naturally. His mother is a great cook. She's one of the biggest inspirations behind the new business venture. There are 2 different divisions: European Quality Foods Limited, which imports and distributes. Then there is El Rebost de Mil Îles, which translates to the Pantry of the Thousand Islands in Catalan, which is Marc's native language. Yeah, it's a language that they speak in Spain. I believe they also, like a region of Spain, and they also speak it when I went to visit Andorra for a ski trip when I was in high school in England. There is a little country between Spain and France called Andorra. It's one of those micro nations or whatever they're called. And anyways, they primarily spoke Catalan, which is, it's a little different. But anyways, so yes, which is the restaurant and gourmet food shop. They sell high-quality Spanish products that you won't find in large retailers. The company works directly with farmers and producers from Spain who stand behind the quality of their products. When I interviewed him by email, my name is James Hardiment, by the way. I'm a singer-songwriter based near Cornwall, Ontario. This is my official website and blog. I pretty much say that every article, just in case you're coming in for the first time, so you know who the author is, at least. His response was... I asked him what his favorite item on the menu was. His response was the charcuterie and paellas on the very top of his list. Paella is probably the most international Spanish dish. Made from rice, it originates from a place called Valencia. It is made with saffron and sofrito, tomato culinary base, that has different variations: seafood, veggie, chicken, rabbit, even chorizo, etc. As I mentioned previously, he's expanding to the unit next door, creating a dining room space for visitors. The current space will remain only as a kitchen. The new area will have a designated area for El Rebost as the shop and dining room for the restaurant. Little Barcelona. The patio has been open for the last 2 summers, and this year he has decided to put a fence to create a proper sitting area with a nice ambience. Because there is sort of a gravel road beside the unit. So, if somebody drives past, there's not that much traffic going through there, but if somebody does drive past, it's a lot of dust. So that fence is nice. It kind of hides that. It's not too close, but again, it is a good thing to put that up. It just kind of creates a little more of a, you're kind of more tucked away and secluded in a nice sort of setting and atmosphere, right? With that beautiful woodwork that he's been doing himself, actually. 1 second, I'm gonna just quickly cough here. Excuse me. That's better. Anyway, yes. So some of my favorite items that I've purchased include octopus and mussel pate, a sort of seafood spread that you can put on toast or crackers. Delicious if that's your cup of tea. I'm a big lover of seafood. I also love pate. I typically buy the more traditional French ones that I'm used to, such as duck, for example. I grew up eating a lot of that while I lived in England as a young boy. A nice lunchtime food, quick and easy. Just grab a knife and spread it. Yeah, it's sort of like it's almost like any kind of spread, basically, but it's like a meat spread, basically. It's just a meat spread you put on toast. You put it on a lot of things, but I always put it on toast as a kid. That's what we do at home. But anyways, yes. So I ordered food from the restaurant also, which was delicious. Various tapas dishes and charcuterie boards. To wash it down, I enjoyed a Spanish sparkling soda pop. Talking to Mark was awesome as well. He was so knowledgeable about his homeland, the items that he sells at his store. I've always wanted to visit Spain someday, and I am fascinated by the food, art, music, and culture of the country. Barcelona is on my bucket list. I love to return to Europe someday, but for now I really want to fully explore this great country we live in. There is so much to see, and there is so much to do here at home. I love this place with all my heart. The nature is breathtaking, and most people I've met have been warm and hospitable. I moved to Canada from the UK in 2007 as a teenager. I went to high school in Cornwall, then university in Windsor, Ontario. I've also lived in Ottawa, where I worked on music with my friends as well. A good friend of mine, Josh Hart. Anyways, if you'd like to learn more about Mark and the product that he sells, you can visit his official website at www.elrebost.ca. And I'll post links below as well. All the links are going to be below in the video as well. So I'm hoping to get Mark on my brand new podcast, Bridge to the Seaway, where I sum up these blog articles, then conclude with an interview with a local musician, artist, or business owner in the community. You can listen to the first 4 episodes here. And I have the SoundCloud link there because that was before I'm doing this anyways. But yeah, I haven't interviewed him yet, like a video interview. I mean, that'd be nice. Or even just an audio interview. I just have, like I said, this article, which we did by email. So I'm moving the next episodes over to YouTube this week, hopefully, which I did. This is quite a while ago when I wrote this. But yeah, I have episode 5 is available to watch on YouTube already. It's already uploaded. Been a little behind as I figured out everything with the new video podcast format. You can find all my channels and socials below the article if you scroll to the bottom of the website. Well, thanks for reading, folks. That's all for today, James. So yeah, that was that article there. And like I said, you can click the like button here if you enjoy what I write. And yeah, we'll go to the next post, which is below here. So yeah, so like I said, I mean, it's sort of travel, business, lots of different things, businesses I visit, and there's some things about my music as well, especially early on when I first started. There's a lot more stories about my music, but also my inspirations in music as well, right? Anyways, I decided to take a drive from where I am based. Oh, sorry. It's called, the title is called Getting Lost in Montebello. And there's a nice picture of the Montebello sign, which is actually a nice village sign in a park outside of a picturesque church called Fabrique Notre-Dame des Bons Secours on Route 148. And that is the main street of the town, and most of the restaurants, bars, cafes, and shops seem to be situated along it. I'm hoping to explore deeper on another visit. I decided to take a drive from where I'm based, close to Cornwall, Ontario, Canada, and drive northward, passing through Alexandria, Vankleek Hill, and Hawkesbury to cross the river and the border between the 2 provinces of Ontario and Quebec. People reading from outside of Canada, a province is that equivalent to a state in the USA. A province will have its own laws, health cards, and driver's licenses. Some even have their own police forces, for example, Ontario Provincial Police. Ontario is officially bilingual, with many signs being in both English and French, and Quebec is predominantly French-speaking. It's the official language of the land. All public signage has to be in French, and one thing I do enjoy about it being French is the fact that you feel like a tourist visiting a European country, especially the larger cities such as Montreal and Quebec City. With their historic cobbled streets in the old town areas, English is still widely spoken though, especially in tourist areas. I always like to attempt the French language though. Making an effort is always important, even if you aren't perfect at it. So yeah, regardless, I do enjoy that because, like I said, I get to feel like I'm in in France or something, in Europe, anyways. On this trip, however, I wasn't visiting a large city, but a small, quaint little village called Montebello. It has a population of just over 1,000 permanent residents. It's part of a region of Quebec called Outaouais. I hope I pronounced that right. The sky was blue. The weather was absolutely perfect. I parked up on the main street, Route 148, to get out and explore the shops, restaurants, and cafes. I arrived in late afternoon, so some of the cafes had already closed for the day. This is probably my 3rd trip to the town in the last few months. On a previous visit, I took a look in the Tourist Information Centre to get some ideas for the summer. I also bought a cappuccino with an almond biscuit at the store attached to the information building called Chocomotive. They sell a variety of products, gourmet chocolates, craft beer, wine, and other things as well. Perhaps I can write a more detailed blog post at some point. And there's a picture of the information centre and Chocomotive. It's actually the Tourist Information Building, which is actually an historical structure, a former Canadian Pacific Railway station built in 1931 with the same cedar wood as the famous Fairmont Hotel nearby. So further up the road, you can check out the Fairmont Le Chateau Montebello 2, which is a very impressive historical grand hotel tucked away in the lush forest behind the Ottawa River. I took a quick peek the other day, Perhaps if I ever did find someone special, we can have a full relaxation session at their luxury spa. The architecture reminds me of one of those alpine log cabins that you would see in Switzerland. Not quite the same, but I see the similarities in building materials and design. Haven't actually been to Switzerland yet. Would love to see it someday. Random side note. The buildings were developed by Victor Neymark and opened on July 1st, 1930. It contains 211 rooms and 14 suites. It was owned originally by the Canadian Pacific Railway, as I mentioned before. They even built a station, which is now the visitor center building for the town. I picked up a flyer for some excursions on four-wheelers and other off-road outdoors equipment. Could be a fun outing at some point. The indoor pool was also breathtaking with a super high ceiling and large windows, which allowed the outdoor light to illuminate the room. There is all kinds of green space surrounding the hotel. You can walk along numerous pathways around the grounds. Today, though, I just wanted to grab a bite to eat, sip a cold beverage, and refresh myself from the drive. I stumbled upon this great pub and restaurant called Le Zouk on the main strip, close to some other bars, pubs, and dining establishments. I enjoyed a nice plate of spaghetti with meat sauce, topped with a delicious melted cheese. It was piping hot. The cheese layer kept the heat inside of the pasta dish. I sat on the raised patio and snapped a nice picture of the main street. And there it is there. Like I said, very busy, lots of people parking, which is good to see. It's good to see people out again after all this craziness in the world. So yes, pictured Route 148 is the main street of the town of Montebello. I took this photo whilst I ate my spaghetti dinner on the raised deck patio at Le Zouk pub and restaurant. The town is surrounded by a beautiful natural forest and hills. And after eating my meal, I went for a drive around the surrounding areas. It was a very beautiful. One of the perks of living in Canada is the scenery. It's really breathtaking. If you'd like to learn more about the region, the things you can get up to, you can check out the official tourism website, www.tourismottawa.com, and it's like a slash in English. Anyways, you can click on the link if you go to the article. Sorry for the coughing. Anyways, now I'm back in Cornwall writing about it, sitting in my favourite bar where I like to sing karaoke on the Wednesdays, Fridays and Saturdays called Rendezvous Restaurant. It's pretty quiet on a Sunday and open later than most of the cafes in town. I love to work while I'm out and about, and for those that don't know, my name is James Hardiment. I'm a singer-songwriter. This is my travel music, whatever blog on my website. I have a podcast as well called Bridge to the Seaway. You can listen to the episodes so far here, and then I just posted links to the first 4 that were available. And well, I suppose it's au revoir for now, Quebec. Until next time, folks, James. So yeah, that was that article about my little trip into Quebec. It's probably the first time I've been into Quebec to write about it anyways on the blog. So far, I have mostly been in Ontario. So that was my first venture into Quebec. So yeah, I do recommend visiting Montebello. If you want to stay at a fancy luxury hotel, there is the Fairmont. And there's also plenty of things that you can do, lots of cute little cafes, restaurants, that sort of thing. And there's lots of concerts and festivals, I think, that do happen out there as well. So check the tourism website if you want to see more information about that. And finally, we're going to go to the last article I'm going to talk about today before we go to the interview. And this is one is called, it's actually about an original song that I wrote recently and recorded here in town or just outside of town. Retro Fun with a Green Screen is the title of the article. And pictured, as you can see here, you see it very clearly, but there's myself in the middle, in the center, and then there's my friend Johnny Umang on the left, and my other friend Jake Adamson on the right of the drums. So James Hardiment is backup crew, Johnny Umang on the keyboard, Jake Adamson on the drums. So continuing the Rescue Me album, set for release later this summer, I, singer-songwriter James Hardiment, teamed up with the live performance artist Johnny Umang, who actually has been doing a lot of karaoke here in town with me as well, and filmmaker Jake Adamson to work on a new music video. This time, I would again continue with my upbeat retro Spanish Italo disco dance music style, which was popular in mainland Europe in the 1980s, especially at nightclubs. That style has been the primary inspiration for the project. The 3 of us filmed our parts on a green screen, which I had set up at my garage at home. I am based in a small town outside of Cornwall, Ontario, Canada, called Longsu, pronounced Sioux. It's spelled like salt almost, but for those reading from the various parts of the globe. And by the way, yes, I have over 1,000 website visits. By the way, I mentioned that a while ago. It's getting closer to 1,500 now, actually, which is awesome. I really appreciate that. Most of the viewers are Canadian. Some are actually from the US. And then a large portion of the rest are from the UK. So I do appreciate you guys following the website and all the blog and all that stuff, right? And like I said, please follow me on Facebook for updates on the latest blog posts and even podcast episodes. I do post onto Facebook regularly, so do follow my musician page anyways. Anyways, so I love the fast synthesizer riffs, which were typical of the genre, and the catchy melodies. I would sing the chorus in Spanish and the verse in English. I love to blend languages in my songs, something that many Italo artists would do as well back in the day. Artists such as David Lime, Jordi Cubino, would sing his verses in English, chorus in Italian. The style originated in Italy, and despite being a Spanish artist, my guess was that he wanted to pay a tribute to the country where it all came from. Not sure on that, just my theory, of course. He was also an opera singer to begin with who discovered the style by accident, which might have been the reason as well, since a lot of opera is in Italian as well. That was my guess, anyways. The song is called Señorita Por Favor, and it's about falling in love with a dangerous woman, sort of tongue-in-cheek, cartoonish melody. It has a bubblegum pop feel to it during the English verses. My dream girl rides a motorcycle, drives a powerboat on the river, and has a cute little pug that comes with her on badass adventures. I find the Spanish language so romantic and fun to sing in. The chorus basically asks a lady if she wants to join my gang of love, a very upbeat and positive message, right? Like togetherness, finding the one, right? So if everyone loved each other, things would be a lot better than constantly fighting, but that's probably too much to ask. I wanted to make a track that would make you want to get up and dance, and I think I succeeded with that part at least. Dance music is one of my favorites amongst other styles, including rock, pop, R&B, South African synth, funk, and boogie. My album explores many different musical genres, but the constant theme throughout is that Spanish Italo disco sound that I love. Johnny Umang is a Cornwall local legend when it comes to singers in town, especially lately for the present karaoke sets across the city. He can be found often at Glengarry Pub, Rendezvous Restaurant, and Daffodil, to name some of the venues in town that offer karaoke nights. We often perform songs together at Rendezvous, especially sort of my home base. I'm there Wednesday, Friday, and Saturdays typically, but Johnny has to work some of those nights. You might as well follow his Facebook page to know or ask me since we're friends. Rendezvous is at 1213 Pitt Street, Cornwall, Ontario, as I mentioned a few times in the previous articles. I do like to shout them out as much as possible, though, because they have been so wonderful to me, and the people I've met there have been so phenomenal, so I'm very grateful. And even I had Rodney Rivette on my last interview, who runs the Rockstar Party Karaoke, and he was my special guest, like I said, last episode, if you want to check out episode 5. Johnny used to be an Elvis impersonator as well. He has an old costume lying around in an old cupboard somewhere. Lately, he's been working another job outside of music, like many of us have to pay the bills. And there's a picture of Johnny there on the green screen. That's how I kind of did it, and then I combined everything. Actually, I'll get into that in a minute, how it was done. But anyways, Johnny Umang on the keyboards, fun times for sure. As I mentioned earlier, I had the guys positioned on the green screen separately, as it wasn't big enough for all of us to be in the same shot. There was a bit of room, but it was a bit of a squeeze for Jake with the drum pads on the stands to hit to the beat of the track. I shot all the video with my iPhone SE built-in camera, then edited the clips together using a powerful video editor app called Cyberlink Power Director. I love the cheesy retro transitions I could throw together, similar to what you would have seen on a TV show in the 80s, which is what I was going for. I also ran the final edit through a VHS filter app. It creates a tape look to the footage, complete with distortion and an analog fuzz you would have seen if anybody out there remembers cassettes and videotapes. So it has that like sort of those white lines at the bottom, and it kind of makes the image a little softer, and it looks like it's something that somebody taped off the television years ago, which was kind of the look I was going for, since a lot of the music and the style that I'm inspired by, I watch the old TV performances on YouTube, which were uploaded to off somebody's VHS player. They recorded it off television back in the day, and that's what we're watching. Or maybe perhaps somebody got a hold of the Betamax copies of the television tapes. I have no idea. But anyway, I think most of them are just people uploading, their favorite music from back in the day. I've released the song to YouTube so far. Thanks for everyone and their support, liking, commenting, and sharing. Every little helps an artist trying to get his, her, or their name out there. So check it out below. And yes, I've embedded the music video there. You can just watch it on the website if you visit my website, www.jameshardiment.com. And that's all for today's blog post, I think. I'm excited for the stuff coming together this summer. It's going to be a record heat wave. Hopefully I can sell some records as well. Feel free to explore my website too. There's lots to read about, and I try to keep things local too. Not always, though. Sometimes I do venture a little further than but usually it's Ontario or Quebec. Because Quebec is kind of a bordering province, as I was saying. And you can follow Johnny Umang on Facebook, and I linked to his Facebook page as well. So yeah, that pretty much concludes this week's episode. And as I said, you can find a lot of stuff on the website, and it just tells you kind of the history of the YouTube channel and how it all got started. Again, I was primarily a filmmaker to begin with, sort of an actor as well, and then I got kind of more into the music. I mean, I was always doing music, but it kind of got pushed to the back burner, and now it's kind of the primary focus again. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm all about. And as I said before, July 15th, I have a show, and I may have one sooner as well in June. I'm still in talks. It might be in June. So like I said, follow the website. I'm going to probably make a page for my live shows as well, so you can check out, sort of a calendar to follow as well. And I'll be posting on Facebook and Instagram regularly as well to keep you up to date. So like I said, please follow, like, share. So that concludes the summarizing portion of today's program. So now we're going to go over to our special guest, and I'm going to go to a different location because it was filmed a little different times. Obviously, everyone has a different schedule. So we're going to go over to that now. Hello, everyone, and now for the interview portion of tonight's episode of the Bridge to the Seaway podcast. And my special guest this evening is digital artist and animator, Jeremy Cybanski. How are you doing today?
Very good, very good.
Great.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good day so far. Nice weather.
Yeah.
Nice break from the heat wave that's been hitting the capital today. So.
Oh, I imagine. I'm a little bit outside near Cornwall, Ontario. I believe you are based, was it Kemptville at the moment, or near Ottawa?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ottawa, for those at home, or for those around the world listening, Ottawa is the capital city of Canada, and he's in a small town just outside. How many minutes away would you say it is by car to Kemptville from Ottawa?
I'd say maybe about 30 or 40.
Okay, so it's not too bad. For those of you watching from around the world, I know I have some viewers in the United Kingdom as well as the United States, right? And they might not be familiar with Canadian geography, so I do like to mention that. So I'd like to ask you first to tell us a bit about yourself, and how did you get started as a digital artist and animator?
Well, I started around, I guess it was when I was 1 or 2 years old, so very, very early. Before I couldn't quite make a mark on paper, I used what was called a magnitude, which is it's kind of similar to an Etch-a-Sketch. It works through magnets, as the name implies.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so much easier to make a mark on that compared to paper. And I switched over to paper around, I guess it was about 3 years old or something like that.
Wow. That's
and I started working with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, digital artist and animator, that's quite a bit more down the road. I started around, I'd say, 2011, maybe even 2009, with being a digital artist. First program I actually owned was called Paint Tool Sai. Okay. It's a Japanese-developed light art program, which is, I guess, pretty cheap, but offers a decent functionality for being very lightweight. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like Photoshop where you have many different options, which is great. But when you're starting off as an artist, it's a bit more disheartening trying to get into and see that huge interface later before you.
It's not quite as complicated as like you said, Photoshop, some of the more advanced programs that you got into, I'm imagining, later on, and we're probably going to get into that soon. So what would you say are your biggest inspirations as an artist, and which art style would you say you're most drawn to, if any?
I think the biggest inspirations I have as an artist, which many people will likely be familiar with, is Disney. Disney was definitely one, as well as one of the animators that used to work for him very early in his career, Iworks. Outside of that, there's also James Baxter, and anyone who's familiar with the Metal Gear Solid series or Death Stranding or anything within that range of genre.
Mm-hmm. Just a second, Jeremy. I'm just going to switch off the AC. I'm going to leave this in because it's kind of funny, but the air conditioner just came on. 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
There we go. Sorry. Yeah, and you were saying about that artist, the Disney artist. Was he? What are some of the works that he did? Famous, notable works that he was involved in. Just for the viewers.
He was. Iworks. He was involved in, to my knowledge, most of the earlier Mickey Mouse shorts, as well as a couple of the Oswald Rabbit ones.
Okay, so like
And
Steamboat Willie.
Oswald Rabbit was like a precursor to Mickey Mouse.
Did he do the Steamboat Willie that was very famous, or no? Was it not that one?
I believe he did. I believe
Yeah,
that was one of the ones.
I've seen that clip. That's one of the early Disney clips, right? It was the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse in black and white, right? On the paddle steamer. Yeah. So like I've been on your Instagram, and it's at Tasty Tack, right? That's correct. At Tasty Tack,
Yes.
where you post a lots of your work, and I kind of notice it almost reminds me of like, you ever watch those like French cartoons? You probably have because you're an animator. I'm trying to think of the one I'm thinking of. It's like the three ladies, old ladies, right? Is it something like that? Can you remember that one? It's I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was a very famous French. Your images are almost like these caricatures, and they remind me of that sort of animation style.
I think I know what you're talking about. The Triplets of Belleville.
That's it. Triplets of Belleville. I've never seen it, but I noticed. I've seen posters of it, and I remember seeing your artwork, and I was like, oh, maybe that's a possible inspiration. Is that something you were going with, or?
I have seen clips of it. I've seen people talk about it. But I haven't seen that one actually.
Okay.
It's one of the ones that I've had my watch list for a while, but
yeah.
That thing just keeps on growing and growing, so it's hard to find time.
Oh, of course. And I mean, one of the great things about you is you're very versatile. Like I said, if I ask you, because I mean, for those of you who don't know, Jeremy has designed for me many things for my various projects, including my upcoming album cover this summer, Rescue Me, which was done in a sort of a cubism style, which was the music I was most inspired by, the 80s Spanish Italo disco. A lot of the cover arts of the time was done by an artist who some artists who chose to do that sort of style, right? It was sort of cubism meets, Salvador Dali. What's that one called? That's surrealism, right? So it was kind of a blend of surrealism and cubism, and I wanted Jeremy to do something with his own flavor, obviously, and he did that for me. And that runs me into the next question, which is you have your own artist services for private and commercial clients. When did that get started? Also, what services do you offer?
I got started, I guess, around. I guess the first major offer I got for a commission was around 2019. I had worked on just a kind of short Slenderman model, just as kind of like practice for rigging, and I posted that online, and someone who has since moved on to develop a Chernobyl game, which again is still in development, but they were my first commission offer, I believe.
Oh wow!
And they wanted me to develop a 3D model based on the again Slenderman, but based on one of the movie versions of that, which was, I believe, released in 2018.
Oh yes, I've seen that one. Yes, the film there. I believe it was called Slenderman, wasn't it, or something like that? But for those at home, Slenderman is sort of this urban legend that started on the internet, right? Like it's a sort of a large, tall, faceless figure in a suit that stalks, and I believe it kidnapped children. That was kind of the idea, right? Of Slenderman, right? And it was actually a big inspiration for our film Wendigo as well, which we released in 2011 when we first started up the channel. So it's kind of funny that it ties into that. So no, thank you, Jeremy. But yeah, please continue. I know you were saying some more, so I'll let you go.
And after that, it was a couple of the different commissions. Like one of them, I believe, was I did a short animation for it was a Kickstarter for a series called Marky the Sloth. And I did a bit of animation for that, as well as the modeling for the character. And that was a fun experience. I haven't done anything like that since, so it's good to at least have that on my belt there. And,
absolutely. I mean, everything you can have on the resume as an artist is important, right? Because it's sort of your portfolio, right? What you can, that's the interesting thing about this business is like it's more about what you can show people. I find these days, anyway, with the internet, everything the way it is. I mean, people are becoming famous in their own DIY sort of way, right? So it's one of those things where it's like you could be hired by anybody, right? If you've got the skill set, right? So. Obviously education is important, and you learn the skills you learn as well. And getting the hands-on practical experience is beneficial, as you know, as an artist. You could read every theory book in the world about every art style, but at the end of the day, if you don't practice, you're not going to be a good artist, right? So that's
practice makes perfect, and
exactly.
if you don't use it, you lose it. That's how the saying goes, I believe.
Exactly. Yes. So I mean, you were mentioning some of your previous projects. Do you have any exciting commissions or projects in the works at the moment that you're allowed to talk about? And also, I just want to mention, I'm going to put links below to in the description to all of Jeremy's work that he'd like to share, his YouTube channel. If you have your YouTube channel, right? So I can link all your socials as well. Like I said, I'll do that for sure. And you can also visit my website, viewers at home, www.jameshardiment.com, to read more about Jeremy's work and see some of the work he's done for me as well, with my own original music. But yes, back to the question. Yeah, anything coming up that's worth mentioning?
Well, one of the things I'm working on that I finished recently, but I haven't yet released is I mentioned that one of my first commissions I did was for a guy who was working on a Slender Man game, and he's since moved on to Chernobyl projects. And I haven't been a huge force in the game he's working in, but I have helped to make a couple of different assets and animations for the game. One of which was more recently, I believe it was a first-person animation of hands turning a tap in the shower and just kind of scrubbing the arms.
Right.
That's an animation which I don't know when I'll post that, and if he's okay with me posting it now, but I will try and post it sometime soon.
Yeah, of course.
And outside of that, in personal projects, I have been working on a short animation that's more demo reel for if I get hired at a studio.
Right.
As of right now, I'm currently independent, but I am looking to branch out into working more for different studios, like contract work, part-time, full-time employment kind of thing.
Right. Yes, I do happen to know. I know a few animators in Ottawa, or at least one I have hung out with on a sort of semi-regular basis. My friend Rob, and I know he's worked at some of the bigger studios in Ottawa, because I mean, there is for those viewers at home that don't know anything about Ottawa, I mean, it is obviously a government town, it's a capital city, but there's also a lot of tech business there as well, headquartered there, a lot of big companies, well, at least when I was living there a few years ago, I'm pretty sure it's the same, but at the same time, there's also a lot of animation studios, right, that work with huge companies that everybody knows, right, so that's, Netflix and, like Disney and other things like that, right, for some of their television shows and programs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, it's kind of a fun fact. I mean, a lot of people probably don't know that. I mean, when they think about movies, they're probably like, oh yes, I mean, Hollywood, or the typical places, maybe New York City or Vancouver, they might have heard of, or Toronto. But it's like, yes, Ottawa also has a big, well, in terms of animation, and there is a filmmaking scene as well. And I know lots of films are actually shot there, because I've kind of been involved in that scene, semi-involved in that scene last year with a couple of short films and a feature film that I worked on with a friend of mine up there. But yes, no, just to let everybody know, there is a lot of stuff happening in Ottawa besides obviously boring government work, but important government work as well. My other question for you would be, what would be the dream? And I guess you kind of touched on it, but what would be the dream project you would want to work on? Or, your dream ideal job, I suppose. What would it be?
I've always sort of thought video games or animation, because those two combine the things I like. I do like designing characters. I also like the idea of creating something that's interactive, that you could potentially see multiple different animations or developments, and so like working for Disney, maybe. I was thinking about that for a while, but I think I've sort of pivoted over to DreamWorks, maybe.
Oh, okay. I see.
And and also as far as video games, I've heard that Valve and also potentially what else? Naughty Dog, maybe.
Naughty, oh yeah, that was a great company with. I mean, I loved the Uncharted games. I don't game much anymore. But when I was a kid, I was really big into the Uncharted games. I played through 1, 2, and 3 multiple times, and then I finally did get 4, and I've seen most of it through the playthrough, but I still have to play the whole thing. But yeah, it's incredible, like, and how it's advanced from the earliest one to the latest one. And then of course the show that's very big right now is The Last of Us, right? The it's been made into an HBO series, and that is all about the zombie. Outbreak that happens, and the people living in the aftermath, right? And it's all to do with like plant. Well, I think in the game it was to do with plant spores, right? That was the idea, right, behind The Last of Us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my sister.
Yeah, it's been a huge. It's been a huge show this year. Like I've seen lots and lots of fan art over it. I've seen lots of discussion, and of course, it's getting talks for a sequel, which is based on the sequel to Last of Us, The Last of Us Part 2, which was released in 2019, I believe. It was just before the pandemic, I think.
Yeah. No, a lot of things were released before then, and then a lot of things were delayed as a result of that, right? I mean, filmmaking projects, everything was put to a standstill, but thankfully we're past that. So yeah, that's pretty much. No, I mean that's fantastic. If you could, I hope to see you one day. Reach your dreams, and like I said, you're a very hardworking guy, and like I said, I send you things and you get it done very promptly. And I've worked with artists before, and they're great people. But one thing about artists is being as prompt as that is kind of a rare quality. So I think you'd go far in if anyone considered you in that sort of a field that you want to get into. There's actually a mosquito that followed me into the house, and it's kissing my fingers right now. So yeah. Anyways, but so is there anything else you'd like to mention, shout out before we wrap things up? Is there anything else? Any channels? Any other platforms that I don't know of? Like I know you're on. Like I said, I know you're on Instagram. Obviously, you have a Facebook page, but you still have your website, Jeremy, because I could link that too if you do have the website still going.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, I'll send it to you after this is over.
Yeah, sounds good. Like I said, I did visit it when I first got in touch with you through my sister's friend who knew you from university, I believe, right? So like I said, or was it? I'm not sure. I forget. It was someone she knew, right? I think her name was Elaine, or my sister's friend. Is that your friend?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's how I met you. That's how I got in touch with you. Anyways, I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. But yeah, no, like I said, it's been amazing what you've done for me, man. I really appreciate that. And the album will be released soon, so you'll get to see it.
Yeah. And you also mentioned inspirations earlier. I made mentions to some of the ones that other people who are watching this might be familiar with. Mm-hmm. But there were some people in my personal life who I do have to thank for pushing me in that direction and encouraging my endeavors there. And that was both of my grandmothers. My grandmother on my mom's side, she was a painter there, and she did a lot of sort of watercolor things, I believe.
Wow.
And she was very artistic with that. And then you have my grandmother on my father's side, who was who had produced many more pieces from different mediums. She was a cartoonist for a hospital strip, I believe, many years ago in Ottawa. Mm-hmm. And her name was Hannah Cybanski. I think she did her artwork under a brand called Hannah Craft or something like that.
Ah, okay.
And she did like soft sculptures of wizards and a lot of high fantasy stuff. Same for the watercolor pieces as well. She did a lot of those, and she was very great. Nice. She's very great.
And that's yeah. I mean, like I said, it's family is a big inspiration all the time. Friends and family, people close to you.
Yeah.
It's not just the famous people that that you look up to. Obviously, that you see in the media. There's a lot of personal touches, right, from those closer to home. And Cybanski, that's a very interesting last name. Is that Eastern European in origin?
Polish, yes.
Polish, yes.
Yeah.
It does remind me of that. It's a very cool name. Like I said, it actually stands out a lot. Like I find, you know what I mean. If it's got that catchy sort of sound to it, right? Like Jeremy Cybanski, production. Well, anyways. What is the name of your for the viewers at home? What do you call your art service company? What do you call it? Do you have a name for it, or is it just your name, or?
I've sort of alternated between using my internet username, TAC user. And also, I've kind of started to think about using either Smashpoint or Stratacube Productions.
Nice. Smashpoint, Stratacube. Well, what's the inspiration behind that?
Just a couple names which I was thinking of. I was like, which names would be interesting?
No, it sounds
And so spelled out from there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's cool. No, I like that a lot. Well, I mean, it pretty much wraps up our interview. So it was great you spending some time with me this evening. Like I said, I didn't want to take up too much of your day, but like I said, and you are going to send me all the links after this conversation. No, like it's always a pleasure to see you, Jeremy. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, no problem. It was a pleasure talking to you as well. I had a good time here, and
we haven't spoken in quite a while, so it is good to get back in touch. And again, I'm going to be working on that the animation project eventually. Like I said, for that one music video I want to do, I still want to do that. Like I said, I just have to put it on the back burner while I get ready for live shows, which are going to come up soon. So like I said, I had to get some equipment for that. So yeah. But anyways, everyone at home, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Bridge to the Seaway. And like I said, I'm hoping to do this regularly, hopefully once a week at least. The day may vary, but anyways, everyone have a great evening. Bye.